call this story, Sometimes It's a Financial Question, and here's why. About 7 years ago, a global ceilings manufacturer was building a plant in China, and I had been brought in a few times during the plant build to help the project team work through some pretty complex problems along the way. But I hadn't been there for a while, and things were going along fairly well until I found out that they were about 2 months behind in their plant build, and they had asked for me specifically to come help them. Now, I had to say that I thought by this time they'd pretty much worked things out, but it turns out that they had something that was getting stuck in their process and they just needed outside thinking to help them. So I took a flight, 15 and a half hours, straight to Shanghai, China. And normally I sleep pretty well on airplanes, but basically I probably stayed up the whole time wondering how I would be able to help them as they were so far along, but 2 months behind. So I got to China and I took a walk of the process with some of their team members and also the interpreter that I would be using for the event. And basically what I found out was the Chinese government required a 2-month testing window. So when you were ready to produce the first product, it wasn't approved until it was put into the test system with the Chinese government, and then once they approved, then you could produce. So the team basically wasn't willing to send product until they knew it was ready to run. So right at startup, they were going to send that first product to the government for testing, causing the 2-month delay. So I knew there was an answer here that could help them. So doing what I normally do, I just started asking questions because I knew they knew the detail, and the answer, although obvious to me, was not obvious to them, and they had to come to that conclusion. So the first question I asked them was, how long does it take for a test from the time that you request it to the time you get an answer? 2 months. We'd already established that. I just wanted to be clear. Second question I asked them was, how much does it cost for this test? $10,000. Okay, it's pretty expensive. Not money I want to spend. The next question I asked them was, how much does it cost the company every single day that the plant is late starting up? And the good news was they already knew that analysis. It was $60,000 per day. So if you multiply 60,000 by 2 months, that's over $3 million. $10,000, $3 million. So the next question I asked was, how confident are you right now that the product you are producing at this point would pass the test? And their answer was, it's passed all of the internal quality requirements. They're fairly confident, probably 97%, slight risk, but pretty confident. So my question was, are you willing to risk $10,000 to save $3.6 million and just put in your test request 2 months before startup? Or do you want to wait and be 2 months late? Well, at that point, they knew what the answer was. So the lesson here is sometimes you need an outside set of eyes to help frame a problem in a non-emotional or factual or financial way instead of an emotional way, and that can help the solution become obvious. I hope this story provided you with some inspiration to revisit your own processes. I have a lot more I'd like to share. Head over to pi-partners.com to learn how I can help. And check back from time to time for more Kaizen stories.